Hello everyone, today we'll be looking at Introduction to Communication. Before we start today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button to join this growing community, like this video if you find it to be helpful, and share with someone you know it could benefit. In today's video, we'll be defining the term communication, identifying methods of communication, also be identifying different mediums of communication, as well as discussing the components of a simple communication system. Let's take a moment to look at this picture. Here we see a man speaking into a microphone to a group of people. If I ask you the question, what's happening here? Most of you would probably say a man is talking to an audience. And you would be absolutely right. Now let's think about this. Is it just talking that's happening here? What else could possibly be going on? Maybe it's a case where the audience is listening, maybe they're understanding what he's saying, or even asking questions in their minds. This is what we call communication. It's not just about one person talking, it's about sharing ideas and making sure others understand them. So, what is communication? Communication is the process by which information is transmitted or exchanged between people. So, it's a process by which information is transmitted or exchanged between people. So, here let's now move into the methods of communication. So, the first one being verbal communication. In this type of communication, it involves speaking using words to share information. So this is when we're speaking to persons, whether face to face or over the phone, using spoken words. The next one is visual communication. Visual communication means sharing information using things you can see, like pictures, charts, videos, or signs instead of words. So take for instance, we have the stoplight sign right there. So we're not seeing any words written on this sign. Nobody's there talking. But we do know that each of these lights signifies something. So whenever it is that the red light comes on, then all the vehicles will stop. Next one, we have written communication. So this type of communication involves sharing information through writing. So whenever we are writing, whenever we're engaged in the process of writing and we're passing whatever it is that we're writing from one person to the next, then this is called written communication. So we're not saying anything orally, but we're just giving them in words, in writing. Then we have electronic communication. Electronic communication is the exchange of information using electronic devices or technology. So whenever it is that we're exchanging information with the use of our cell phones, probably via WhatsApp or via email, then we're engaged in electronic communication. So now that we're through with the methods of communication, let's now dive into the mediums of communication. So first of all, a medium of communication refers to the way or channel through which messages are transmitted. So it refers to the way or channel through which messages are transmitted. So what is it that we're using to reach our audience? What is it that we're using to send the message to the receiver, to the intended person? So here we have a question. How do we communicate using spoken words? So now we're trying to come up with the mediums of verbal communication. So how can we communicate using spoken words? So we can have face-to-face conversations, we can have phone calls, we can use speeches. So all these three examples have to be done using spoken words. Because when we're in a face-to-face conversation, we're actually talking, we're interacting directly using spoken words. When we're engaging phone calls, we have to be talking. And when we're doing speeches, we also have to be talking. So all three examples right here are mediums of verbal communication. So now, how do we communicate using written words? So we can go ahead and write those letters, we can prepare those reports, and whatever information is there, it is communicated through writing. So there is no one talking, everything is expressed in words. How do we communicate using electronic gadgets? So we can head over to our social media platforms, we can send an email, or we can go to using video calls. So all of these, they require our electronic gadgets, and they also require the use of internet in order for us to pass information from one person to the next. Moving right along, so now let's look at the components of a simple communication system. So let's take a minute to examine this diagram right here. So first of all, we're seeing sender, then we're seeing encoding, then we're seeing message, then we're seeing channel, then we're seeing receiver, then we're seeing decoding, and then we're seeing feedback. So this diagram is basically saying that the communication process starts out with the sender. So this is the person who starts the communication. And then this person has to encode. So whatever it is that they are saying, whatever idea they have to put it in a form where it can be understood by persons. So they transform their ideas into meaningful or into the message basically. That's what happens in the encoding process. And then we have the message, we have to find a way to send it to the receiver, and then the receiver will understand it, and once the receiver understands it, he or she will pass a feedback or make a feedback. So let's look at these components one by one. So the first one being sender. So this is the person or device who starts the communication. So the sender can either be a person or the sender can be a device. So in the case of the sender being a device, it can be that you're sending something from the computer to the printer. So you want to print a document and you're sending it from the computer to the printer. So in this case, the computer would be the sender and the printer would be the receiver. If it's a case where it's a person, we can give the example with a teacher giving instruction. Moving right along into encoding. So this is how the sender organizes the message to share it. So it's basically the process of turning your ideas into messages. So how the sender organizes the message to share it. That's encoding. Next on the list we have channel, and we also refer to the channel as the medium. So channel refers to the way a message is delivered from the sender to the receiver. It is the medium or the method used to communicate. So whenever we're speaking, it could be that it is carried out during face-to-face interaction or over the phone. It could be that whenever we're writing, we use a channel of letters or emails, text messages, or visuals wherein we use images, videos, or charts. And then we have the message. So the message is the information or the idea or even the feeling being shared. So let's say, for example, the teacher would have said to the receivers, please submit your homework by tomorrow. So this is the message. This is the information being communicated. The receiver now. The receiver is the person who gets the message. And remember, the receiver can either be a person or a device. Just with the example that was given previously, whereas the computer was the sender and it was sending some information to be printed by the printer. So in that case, the printer would have been the receiver. So the receiver is the person or the device who gets the message. If it's a case where it is a person, then the person could be the students who are listening to the teacher. And then we have decoding taking place. So this is where the receiver understands the message. So decoding has to do with the receiver understanding the message, trying to make sense of what the message is actually saying. This is called decoding. So please note, encoding and decoding, they are different. And then we have feedback. So feedback is the response from the receiver to the sender. So with the example previously, so we're following up with the teacher and the student. So the feedback would possibly be that the student is asking that, can I submit it later? Considering that the teacher would have mentioned that they needed to submit their assignment. So the response from the student could be that, can I submit it later? So that's the feedback. So after they would have made sense, understood the message, this is what they are saying. And that's basically it for the communication process. So here we have a small activity wherein we're required to match the terms with their correct descriptions. So the terms, they are found in column A, and the descriptions, they are in column B. So the first term being sender, so we're to look for the description on the right. So the first one is saying the person or system that delivers the message. The second one is given after receiving a message. The third one is saying the person or system receiving the communication. The fourth one is saying the content or information being shared. And the fifth one is saying the medium through which the message is transmitted. So the sender is actually the person or the system that delivers the message. So this is the one who starts the communication process. So letter A will be matching with numeral 1. Receiver. So receiver is the person or the system receiving the message. You can go ahead and attempt C, D, and E in the comment section below. And that's it for introduction to communication. Thank you so much for watching, and do remember to subscribe.